Hi everyone. We're just gonna wait for Kat to join. So I met Kat, I think my first semester at UH Manoa in 2015, I think. Yeah. And oh, there she is. Oh man, that was fast. Okay, so that's it. That's when I met her. Okay, Kiyobi send her request. Today I met her at photo. Hi, Kat. I cannot hear you. She froze. It's okay. We'll just give it a minute. Kat, hello. Try to say something. Hello.
I
Okay.
forgot. I forgot to connect my headphones. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I was like, hello. I can't hear her.
Hello.
Yay! Dude, that looks so good on you. I'm trying to
Mm, mm, mm.
yeah. Okay, so we're waiting. We can wait for some people to join. I'm trying to think. Oh, Cassie.
Or
Um,
or we could just get her going while there's no one here.
we can wait like a minute or two, and then hi, Cassie. Oh,
Hi,
look at Giovanna. Hi, Giovanna.
Giovanna.
Um, yeah, no, we can just wait for a few more people to join. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like what to talk about when I'm waiting for somebody to go live. So I was just like, I met Kat at UH, and then you immediately went. I was like, oh, and that's it. I met her at UH. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So like what? It's been I think we talked about this last time, 5 or 6 years since we met.
I still can't believe it's been that long. I really, I
Yeah.
can. It's really been.
Remember all-nighters in the metal studio?
Dude, I really do. And I remember we stayed late in the photo lab too, in the dark room with
Oh
Michael.
yeah,
Kind of creepy.
taking naps.
Now that I
Taking naps.
I'm like in the dark room with Michael. I'm like, that sounds kind of.
I'm like, stop being suggestive. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Okay. Oh, hi, Noemi. All right. So I think we have a few people. Are you okay if we start, Kat?
Yeah, I can't tell when people join because it doesn't tell me.
Okay, good. 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 We have enough people so you won't feel nervous. Don't get too nervous. Um, Hi, Noemi, Giovanna. Cassie. All right, so we'll just start. We'll just start. So thank you everybody for joining this week's Artist Talk. Today I'm going to be talking to my very good friend, Miss Cat Guerrero. So we'll just start off with where you're from. Oh no, wait, sorry, your intro. Sorry, that was my fault. she's
No, you're good.
Sorry, she's attending University of Hawaii at Manoa, and she is going to receive her BA in Studio Art. Thank you, Kat, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And so now, can you tell us where you're from?
Yeah, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I grew up in Kaneohe and then moved to Kahalo when I was 8. And I've been living here pretty consistently, only lived away from home for a year so far. But, we're working up to that. We're working up to a big move,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yes. And so let's talk about what inspired you to create art.
Yeah, so my parents have always been really, really, really supportive of the arts, whether it be like theater or arts and crafts. And so they bought me like my first Canon 81 off of Craigslist when I was in middle school. And that's kind of like what started my head dive into photography. And then just like having a required art class in high school really helped too, because that just kind of reinforced that idea that it's something that matters and that it's not just like a hobby or like what people think it is, which is like felt and tacky glue for some reason. I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And so when you decided to do art as a career, did you receive support from your family and friends?
I feel like the first question that people ask is always like, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I feel like that can be said for really any major in college or at a professional level when you're getting a degree. So I can't say that the support was like super gung ho, but just definitely having those art classes in high school just helped because by then I was already creating things and like trying to enter them into shows, and so I knew it was something that could happen. And it was only really when I got to UH that like the whole world of art really opened for me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for that answer, Kat.
Yeah.
But we're gonna segue into school. So talk about what schools you attended.
Yeah, so in high school I went to Kalani High School and University Laboratory School. And then for college I went both at KCC, went to KCC and UH
Hmm.
Manoa. So I did some undergrad language at KCC, but I do all of my studio classes at the University of Hawaii.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
And so, do you mind talking a little bit about your experience at UH and KCC, and then also about opportunities you had while you were in school, such as meeting artists or traveling? I'm
Yes.
question, sorry.
So pro tip if you're having a hard time with language at UH, take some courses at KCC,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I did because for some reason that 4 semester requirement was just really, really tough for me to get through, especially with like our 3 hour long studio classes. So just having that 4 days a week was really taking a toll on me, but persevered, made through it. We're here now. And I think the biggest thing that I appreciate about UH is like the variety of medias that you're able to explore. Of course, you still got to do your intro classes like drawing and intro to 3D composition, but whether it be like metal with Giovanna or photography with Phil or electronic arts with Peter or screen printing with Charlie, like it's just so many things that you can explore. And it's really up to you because like there's all these other mediums that I haven't ever touched, like glass and ceramics and painting and drawing. So that's just like insane to me that condensed in this one beautiful building is all of these art mediums. And so just getting the access to all of that and then also getting to further my experience in photography because like as you know, started off with small format and then
Yeah.
slowly worked my way to medium and then slowly worked my way to large and now I got all three of them under my belt and I'm really excited about that. Yeah. All of my professors too, can I just say UH, like their curation of professors and teachers, just I feel like they push you in all the right ways to really make me think about intention and perception, which is
Mhm.
super, super important for artists since they're constantly reflecting on everything
Yes.
around them and themselves. So
Mhm.
just that was amazing. And also like artist talks, it's awesome that we have artist talks for the exact artists that are showing works in the different galleries at UH, just
Mhm.
because that's so eye-opening to get to really hear an artist talk about a body of work. And I'm not sure, I'm definitely not on that level of artist talk, but I'm still a student and I'm trying.
Yeah. No, this is an artist talk right now, so it's practice. Hi, Kiki. No, yeah, keep going. I know that when it comes to opportunities at UH, you mentioned about networking.
Oh yeah, networking is like, it's so weird not having a community in the art department anymore. Like just walking around and seeing people is just like non-existent. Like I went in this morning to do some screen printing work and literally saw not a single soul except for the custodian in the building. And I
Wow.
was like, well, this is kind of crazy. And like, yeah, the art building is big, but I mean, just not having the space for studio is kind of weird or having like an online only class like Scott's class is all online like everything nothing's being like printed on the big printers and it's like crazy because he's a very print forward kind of class and I learned that in 202 so that was just like crazy to me that the community is like not that it's not there it's just a lot harder to access
Yeah.
and that's like a real shame because we were just talking about how much like we built this friendship
Mm-hmm.
purely based off of the art building and the fact that we happened to labby at the same time.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, and I think we talked a little bit about how weird it is that you're still a student, and in the pandemic you don't really have that community of artists that you could like walk down the hall and you'll see like Cassie, for example, or like Kiki, and
Yeah.
everything's gone because of the pandemic, and it's just so strange. It's so weird.
Yeah, no, I hate it because I'm like a pretty religious, not sorry. I am I like to labby as often as I can just because like not only is it just good experience, but just the people that you get to meet and hang out with, like it's irreplaceable. And it's so weird having like split up classes too, because then it's like you only get real feedback from maybe half of the class,
Hmm.
because it's really hard to do Zoom critiques or they take a really long time.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be pretty weird. Um, yeah, yeah, I can't see like, and then that's what we were also talking about before this. It's like I'm trying to kind of like process how it would be like getting an art degree right now during the pandemic without the community, and it's so hard. But you're doing it, but it's definitely not the same. And before we continue with the next question, I know you also talked about how you gained confidence while in UH.
Yeah, so it's really weird going from like high school art classes to college art classes, because then all of a sudden you're really actually being looked at an academic level, which
Mhm.
I don't think I've really experienced. Queen of crying during critique, just because like I was extra sensitive, because I feel like you put so much of yourself out there as an artist, and sometimes be taken. And so it's just like, ah, God. Yeah, I wasn't very good at critique, but I would like to think that over the years I've really improved and learned that everyone is literally there to help you. If anything, they want to make your projects even better and even like greater with your own creation and hands and imagination. And like again, like professors just really push me to further the ideas that I'm working on, not necessarily that they want me to look in a different direction,
Mhm.
even, but like they're really supportive, but also they push you. And like that's exactly what you want in college. So like I wasn't prepared for how hard critiques would be, but if anything, it's only made me a better artist, and I like am forever grateful that I even get that kind of feedback, you know?
Yeah, no. And before we continue, I wanted you, just so we don't, I think that you said some really great things, and I think one of them is also that it's you're able to think of intention and creating with purpose. I don't know if you remember saying that.
Yeah, so intention I feel like is something that I've struggled with
Yeah.
really hard as an artist, because like I view my projects almost all as like separate entities, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's really hard to kind of just hone in on one thing and really develop an idea. But with the help of my professors, like they really ask me like, okay, well, what was the purpose of every single thing that I put in? And if you don't have an answer, that's already how you know some might
Yeah.
be up, you know? Because
Yeah.
that's where I personally start to falter, and I will get very nervous and choked up. But I think that only just makes you a better artist. Like I'm just again, the intention and the perception of how people take your pieces too is just so important, because you can't speak on behalf of like all the people that may view your art, and it's really important to get that feedback I think early on, so that you can really think about how to put things forward.
Yeah. No, that's great, Kat. And then one last thing is how you think that reflection is the core value of what artists do, because I think that was something really, really powerful.
Oh man, aren't
Yeah.
artists just like constantly reacting to the world and like reflecting on everything, whether it be like societal, political,
Hmm.
and just like speaking of political, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a constant cycle of trying to improve and trying to like open up your knowledge of the world, just because I feel like individual scope is so small, but when it's grouped together with a bunch of individual creatives, like you can really create something great.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that, Kat. I just wanted to get everything that you said because you said so many good.
I forget the things that I
I,
said.
I didn't want to go to the next topic without you saying
Thank
but
you.
what do you feel that school has prepared you for?
Oh my God. School prepared me for interacting with people. School prepared me with how to take criticism,
Mhm.
not necessarily not taking it personally, but just taking it towards your art instead of on your character. I feel like was really important. How to print on professional printers, how
Yeah.
to mix up my own chemicals in a dark room, how to darkroom print. And luckily, I took a gallery management and exhibition design class. So we really went into like art handling, which we'll talk about probably a little bit later.
Yes.
But also using torches. Shout out to Giovanna. I get scared every single time, but like she's there and she's pushing for me to use that torch. But also just thinking critically. I feel like that is such a hard thing to grasp too. Like, oh, Jamie's class is getting me thinking, but critical theory and like just thinking really deeply about certain issues on a personal level, or like even trying to encompass like what many people think, or like a whole demographic, is like very intense.
Yeah.
But I feel like school definitely opens my eyes to
No, thank you for that, Kat.
that.
And
Hmm.
I know you're still in school, but what do you feel that school has not prepared you for?
um, Applying for internships, I feel like working at the museum. I already have like half of a foot in the door,
Yeah.
but just like I'm so nervous when it comes to asking about internships and like even applying for scholarships. Like I know there's a whole database on how to do that and everything, but I feel like a class dedicated to just applying for scholarships would be super cool. Maybe like unthinkable or unfeasible at the moment, but definitely could be something cool, like one that focuses on how to apply for grants, maybe, or like how to present a project so that people want to grant you funds. That's a really big thing that I don't feel like I was really prepared for. And also just how non-linear exploring yourself and your art form is. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like people take so many dips and dives, but they also come up on some really amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just like taking both of those things in stride is really hard. Like it's hard putting yourself out there and then being told like this doesn't do anything towards what you were trying to say, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like we've all been there and it's very difficult. But also knowing that you can bounce back from that was something that like took a lot of learning, just like that you're constantly progressing and sometimes you progress downwards, but that's okay because you can still go up again. It's okay.
Yeah, no, thank you, Kat. That's all so, so good. And with that, we're going to move on to your art. So, um, and we're doing really, really good on time, so don't worry. We'll have enough time for questions at the end, but now we get to talk about your art. So, I want you to feel comfortable sharing any body of work you want to display, and while you're talking about it, I'll ask you what the inspiration was, how long it took to complete, and the process. But yeah, the floor is all yours.
Oh man, I didn't sweep the floor before I took it. Oh, no, we're here. We're here. We're doing it.
Do it.
So I just want to first of all shout out Giovanna for letting me retake her class again because I got to make these two super cool items. They are made out of fine silver and opals. And this first one that I'm wearing is based off of a prosthetic memory project. So the memory I am referencing is when you're staring at the sun or in the sun, and your eyelashes create these little tiny balls of light right within your vision, and you're
Yeah.
noticing your eyelashes within your scope of eyesight. And I just thought that was such a thing that like I've always noticed when I was little. So I really wanted to personify that by like making an eye draping that kind of stays out of your peripheral, and
Yeah.
in the sun, they actually throw little rainbows, just like the little balls of light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also made a little axe because chop chop. The most useless axe, but I think in the running for one of the cutest axes.
Yes. So, how long did they both take?
Oh God. I want to say it was funny because I feel like the first time I took the class, I got down everything with you, and
Yes.
then I took a break for a really long time and then
Yeah.
came back to the class and had to relearn everything kind of. So I want to say each of them took about 2 or 3 weeks to
Mm-hmm.
make, just like kind of hashing out the idea from like casting the ingots to making everything, about like 2 to 3 weeks.
Damn. Long time. And then if you want to kind of just talk about the process really quick, because I know you have a lot of beautiful works to talk about. So,
Ooh. I bought silver casting grain so that I could work in silver because I have eczema, so my skin's really sensitive to certain types of metals. So brass and copper and pewter, all of that are like no-nos for me to wear.
yeah.
But so I invested a pretty penny in last semester, but I was able to walk away with like such beautiful things that I couldn't be like prouder of, you know? Like I got my prosthetic memory on and I'm swinging my little axe. Like it's
I love
great.
I love it. Yeah. So what other pieces, Kat?
Yeah. So right now for my weaving class, I am working on an ACAB shirt, which is really funny because either my work is super political or super not. And this is on the scale of super political.
Oh, okay.
So it's a Honolulu Police Department shirt that I'm stitching with 1312 ACAB. I also have some sentences taken from a Civil Beat article that is all about a database of all of the police offenses by HPD, but they have a union that argues for whether or not their name should be included or whether they should be discharged or not. And the public record of these offenses are not like there's no public release of any information, and basically a bunch of cops get to slide by on just warnings for things like sexual harassment, misconduct, fleeing from accidents or crime scenes. So it's like, to me, such a, a crazy thing. Like it makes me so upset and it
Mhm.
makes me angry, but the way that I channel it is to really take the time to like stitch out each individual stitch, because I mean, we'll talk about time, but this has been in the works for like 6 months,
A long time.
partly because of lack of thread, but also because each little tiny thing is like a quadruple pass. So I have to pass over each pixel 4 times, and it takes a long time.
Oh, that's a
But yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be like an informational shirt. And then also, like, while I'm in public, the conversation that it's opened up, because I do have some lovely coworkers, and luckily, none of us are the kind to judge on what kind of politics the other holds.
yeah.
So, like, I've had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, that's so cool. What are you stitching?" And I'm like, "I'm stitching an ACAB shirt, baby." And they're like, "Oh, what does that stand for?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like looking at me, you wouldn't outwardly think like defund the police, but here I am, and I'm just lucky that I'm afforded the ability to open up a conversation about it, because when people hear all cops are bastards, they don't normally hear defund the police and refund social
Yeah.
services
Hmm.
and like public schools. But that's like, yeah, that's just a really interesting like manifestation of my thoughts into my art. But I bought this shirt with a completely different purpose than what I'm using it for now. I mean, like, look at those dolphins
Yeah.
and how cute
Yes.
that is, and then how uncute HPD is.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. What else, Kat?
And then I'm just going to flip my camera over to show some photo work on my site. So
Mm-hmm.
speaking of non-linear growth, this second photo right here was shot on my first roll of film ever. Um, I think it is still one of my best shots to date. Like Cat, middle school Cat was on something. She was feeling something with like the reflection of like the red, white, and blue,
Mm-hmm.
and then also just the rain falling in the headlights.
Was
And
it in Oahu? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, this was in San Francisco. So I first
Oh,
started shooting my camera because I was so excited. I would take it on trips. And that was kind of like the first thing that I would do is I would just take photos of anything that looked cool. So a lot of my photography work focuses on small, soft, like intimate moments of what I like to call gratitude. I
mm-hmm.
feel like living with bipolar mania is really hard sometimes to find the good in small little moments that people might pass by.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like that's why I think I am gravitating towards photography, because I didn't realize it at first, but it really is just such a beautiful thing to experience, to capture a moment in a way that's so individual to the photographer, whether it be like the film, how they're grading it, how they're rating it, what they're shooting on, what they're putting in front of the lens, you know, to
Mhm.
distort it, and then even to the way that they print it. So to me, just photography is this all-encompassing, super beautiful process that allows you to explore yourself and your thoughts and like how you stage things, and just it's like a giant collaborative process, which again is why it's so weird that we don't really have that super big community of the art building any longer.
Yeah. I don't think I
But yeah,
those Cat. These are really nice.
I think you recognize this one. This is
I
from 107.
Yeah, but the first
Again,
one. Mhm.
speaking of non-linear work, yeah, and the first one.
Yeah. Wow, these are
Yeah,
so.
so like this is like a bunch of photography spanning from like literally my last year of middle school, or like just middle school all the way up until like this year. So
Mhm.
it's just really, it's crazy to see how things change, but how much stays the same.
Yes.
You know, like I think I haven't figured out how I shoot or what the term is for how I shoot, but there's something there, and that's what it is. But that's one of the main mediums that I love working on. But switching back to some fiber arts, if
Yes,
I may,
of course.
I showed this one piece in the Commons gallery when I first took weaving, and it is a long ocean view with some like little pockets of ripples,
Hmm.
and it's a gradation all the way up. So I started with a bunch of, I think, 4 strands, and then with every so often, like maybe like every inch or so, I would swap out one string to create like this kind of really smooth gradient all the way up to where I have trash.
Hmm.
Because I think we all know, especially people that live on islands, how much trash accumulates and how much it pollutes everything. So this was a class that was really based on focusing on how we could reuse things or repurpose things into better use. So that is also helpful for any college students that don't want to spend money on materials. Take Mary's 436 class because it's all reused materials. Like you shouldn't have to buy anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you could talk about Mary's class. Do you mind showing the trash part of it again?
Oh,
Sorry
yeah, absolutely. No, no, no. Don't be sorry.
to interrupt you.
So I have it woven in. There's like a little Velcro strap to attach it to a like a piece of wood with another Velcro strap.
Mhm.
But I just weaved are all in there. I have the warp strands are also like different colors of blue and white
Mhm.
because I really wanted to carry that entire thing. And like it looks kind of pretty. Like I curated my trash, if you will, and very selectively put something in, but it's there. And she's existing and she's long. She could be a scarf, a trash weaving scarf.
How long did that one take?
This so learning to string up the loom, because I did this on one of those big floor looms, actually took about a week and a half to just set up the strings to weave on. And then it was probably a month, if not like 3 weeks, just
Yeah.
to weave this. And this was like simple, like this was on the simpler end of what you were able to do on those looms.
Yeah.
So I just think that's like, again, shout out to all the different mediums, because there really, it doesn't have to be a specification. You can take the intro classes for whatever medium you're thinking about exploring, and that's just so beautiful.
Yes. Thank you, Kat. Do you have any
Yeah.
this? Because we actually have a lot of time, so if you want to talk about
Any more work? Oh my God.
I don't know.
Um, I can talk about this baby. So this was my final project for large format photography.
Mhm.
So in Giovanna's class, I actually sent these little tourmaline points from Pakistan in solid silver, and I
Mhm.
made 72 of them. And I raised money for 2 charities
Mhm. Oh,
that
oh.
help, yeah, that help um, displaced people and
Mhm.
houseless people on Oahu, and then also a cat sanctuary.
Oh, Cat, that's
And so, thank you. This is like kind of a comment. I kept them really small. Like if you can see, they're barely noticeable if you don't look twice.
I just found I have mine. I had it out because I was like, I'm gonna show them. But
Yeah, they're tiny babies.
here are two of them. So you can look at the photograph and then this is I can't even focus on it. Can I focus on it? No, I can't.
Ooh, beauty guru.
I know, like as if as if I
But yeah, so I set 72 of them, and then I wanted to make it on a sliding scale donation just because no one has to donate a specified amount to contribute to like a good cause. And also just like jewelry, I feel like isn't a super accessible thing to people. Um, it's like very much so like one of those commodities that I think people are privileged to have access to, and I really wanted it to be available to anyone, which is why I was like $10 minimum. If 10 is all you can afford, that's totally okay, kind of thing,
Mhm.
you know? Like, just
Yeah.
I felt like that was really important, which is also why it's like kind of almost hard to see where they are in the photos.
Oh
I
wow.
just really wanted to, yeah. And like also, these little points are a culmination of like all the people that have ever touched it. And then also just like the earth making it, you
And
know, and then it being mined, then it being shipped over and then being reworked by myself. And like they're a lot like plants in that kind of way, where they're really shaped by their environment and everyone that comes into contact with them, you know? So I thought that was just like a very fun thing to explore for a little bit.
yeah, and so how long did making all 75 take?
Oh, so because I was retaking Giovanna's class, I was able to really think about what I wanted to do for my final from the very beginning. So
Hmm.
I had been working on it from like mid semester all the way till the end. So like it was like a couple months in the working, and I think Giovanna was like there and she saw me struggling so often. And like I have to say, I broke more than I created, definitely in the beginning. It was like hard going into studio, sitting for like 6 hours and walking away with only two. Whereas like some other days I would walk away with like eight after like 2 hours, you know? So it's like the metal really feels your frustration and it can tell when you're not taking care. Because if anything, I learned that accuracy is key with working with metal. You don't want to, none of this guesstimation, estimation shit. Like, you got to be on point with that because you
Yeah.
can't uncut metal and it's really hard to unbend it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which
why
can
I
be
didn't.
said, that's a good life lesson. Thank
It
you,
is.
Giovanna.
It is a good life, but I cannot work with metal. I remember I mean I still struggle. I know. That's all.
It was a hard one. It was a
Yeah.
hard one.
I'm still trying to see if it can focus. I'm trying to do that stupid camera thing. Can it? Can you focus? I can't see the camera. I'm sorry. Can it? No, no, no. But they're really tiny.
Yeah, yeah. I have two of them on my little bracelet.
So
Maybe
cute.
if I try.
You're
Nah, that's okay.
actually focused.
Everything I make is like tiny. It's kind of
Yeah.
frustrating.
No, yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Do you have any
Yeah.
work before we move on to something else?
No, I think I'm good. That was a good range of I think
Yeah.
different mediums that you can explore at UH.
Yeah, no, that was so good. Thank you, Kat. I love that you shared
Yeah.
everything. So with that, I'm gonna ask you the following question, and it's how do you feel being a female artist? And it's a question I ask if you feel comfortable doing so, and it's just kind of asking if you've ever not felt supported or if you've ever been harassed for being a female artist. Anything is important
So,
to go.
yeah, mm, I don't know that like being a female artist necessarily has caused anything to not come my way. I don't think I've been discriminated against, but I think I can speak on a lot of people's experiences just like with unwanted advances or sexual harassment. It's just, it runs rampant.
Yeah.
And I don't think really anyone on the gender spectrum, male to female, is safe, from that kind of harsh hitting reality. And sorry, I'm doing my nervous smile. I don't mean to actually be smiling while I'm talking about this.
No, it's okay. Um,
But I feel like if anything, before I wouldn't really lean into my femininity just because like that was something that I shied away from. Girls can be very interesting in middle school and high school to say the least, Like I feel like no girl has like a perfect experience in high school. But I think slowly learning to lean into that and kind of not be afraid of the fact that I am very much proudly so a female artist. And if people want to take that in a way that makes them disregard me, that it's totally fine because it's completely up to them. But like it's really learning how to not let that affect me,
yeah.
you know? Just like I am a female artist and it is what it is, and I'm happy with it more so than I think I've ever been. Like I think if anything, art has taught me how to be more comfortable with who I am and like what my thoughts are because it's all of me in there. She's doing her thing,
Hmm.
and I just I don't want there to be like such like a heavy emphasis, I guess, on like female artists because like I do think it's important, but like there's so many things within the gender spectrum that are like existing. So I don't think we're all just artists, right?
Yes, exactly. No, thank you for that answer, Kat. I think that's a very
Yeah.
good. And so my last question for you before we open it up for questions is you have any advice you would like to give to artists?
Yes, growth is not linear. I feel like I said that already, but it was just such a hard thing for me to grasp that you aren't always on this upward climb of like good thing after another, after another, after another. Like it just doesn't realistically happen like that. And that is okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And if anything, like you have to go into art knowing that you're going to be critiqued because that is such like an essential part of it. Like again, reflecting is super essential for artists, and if you're unable to do that, like it's going to be really hard to navigate art, you know? Like it's not this super easy cliche thing that people think it is. Like it's hard sometimes, and I've had my fair share of like blood and bruises from it.
Hmm.
Like literally. I think we can both
Yeah.
speak on that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Again, shout out Giovanna. But
Yeah.
I just like it's okay to not make your best work sometimes. I think is like the biggest lesson that I want people to take away from little old me's artist talk is that it's okay to not make your best work because you can always like revisit that and think about how to improve it. Ask for more people's opinions, like really hash out what it is it's not working, and that to me like that community is invaluable. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. I know you also said in the notes was if anyone asks you what you're doing with their degree, ask them what they're doing with theirs.
Yeah. I think that's like it's a weird like intrusive question for like somebody that doesn't even know anything about you except for maybe your major to ask. But like I just feel like you can ask that question to any major and it still sounds just as snobby as when they asked you it, like, but what are you gonna do? You could be like, oh, what are you looking forward to doing? But
Yeah.
don't like, man, people need to stop thinking that art isn't a valuable thing to go into because we were just talking about how art handling and art shipping and art preservation is this whole humongous scope and like world that we don't even get introduced to. And I'm just fortunate enough to work in a museum. So like I'm afforded that ability to be around the art and like really like look at the team that's behind the restoration and just the upkeep of all the art around the museum.
Yeah.
And that's like an amazing world. Like you don't really get that kind of experience. And I'm not even sure that there's a class like quite like gallery management and exhibition design like going on right now because that was a very hands-on class because art handling is handily, handily. But yeah, I just think like it's interesting that there isn't a required class for art handling and gallery exhibition because it's a super lucrative business that's booming, and the insurance and shipping and handling of art is a big, big world that I don't think a lot of people think about when they
Yeah.
think about art.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And like I said earlier, I think you're one of the few artists that even mention art handling and how it
Oh,
like it's an actual art to like take care of sacred art pieces, which is why they're in museums, and how it can be
yeah,
a legitimate career. And those people that like restore paintings and set up gallery shows are like so well respected. It's insane.
yeah. I know you've seen those YouTube videos of people like um, restoring art and paintings. That stuff's gnarly. It's a big business, and again, I just think there should be a required course for that because that'd be insane.
Yeah, I think so too. But with that, we'll end it here. So thank you so much. Ah,
I did
you did
it!
it. You did it. You did so good. And now we'll leave it open for the audience to ask any questions if they like. We're doing really good on time. We have like 15 minutes for questions.
I still can't see anything. Like if there's any people or any comments.
People have commented. A lot of people say you're amazing. There's been hearts going all around and that you're awesome.
I
So
can't see it. I'm so happy.
oh, you're happy. So I know Giovanna's watching, Cassie's watching, my friend Gosha's
Hello.
watching, my friend Anea, Jackie's watching, um,
Hello.
um, Lay, what is it? Laymomi High Photography. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Bree, that's Bree.
Oh, hi Bree. Oh my, I don't know who that is. Gia's watching. T-A,
Gia.
I don't know how to say this one.
Hey,
Taytrbio.
Turbo.
Yes. I'll see the comments. Everyone's like putting heart. Oh, Jackie's asking, how did you get into metal? Hi, Brie.
Oh man, it's actually funny because I think Brenda, you and I like we talked about it when we first took metal,
Yeah.
but we like Brenda and I were labbing together, and I'm pretty sure we were looking at like what classes we could both take that would would meet a requirement for us.
Yeah.
So we saw like a small scale sculpture class. So we thought, oh, small scale, that means it's gonna be easier. Like, no, that if anything, that makes things harder. The fact that things
Yeah.
are so small.
Yeah.
And like we went into it because I think right after 3D composition, you can go straight into small scale without taking like metal fab,
Yeah.
which is like the I think it's below small scale sculpture, but you don't have to go through it to get into small scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I'm literally not going to make it through this class because like working with metal is so hard. But here I am retaking the class.
Yeah.
So I
I,
just got into it
yeah.
just by pure shit luck.
You're very bold to take it twice. Like I feel like maybe one day I should try it one more time, but I just remember I feel like I failed so epically in that class. I was just like,
No.
I remember I felt like I couldn't see Juvan. I'm sorry, Juvan, but I really did feel like I couldn't see her for a while because I failed so miserably in her class.
No.
Oh my
You
god.
were like,
There was only like I think of two of them that I was like proud of. But I feel like you helped me and Maria helped me a lot in the class. Yeah.
Maria.
But yeah, anybody else have any questions for Kat? Because I have one for you actually. And we'll just wait for the audience to ask questions. So my question was, you said that you don't photograph people's faces. So do you know why you don't like photographing people's faces?
It's like not even a conscious decision. I just feel like a lot of my straight, maybe that's like one of my weaknesses that like I'm not ready to face yet consciously. But like whenever I take a straight on photo of somebody, if it's not blurry for some reason, like I'm just like my composition's off, like the color tones are off, just everything's off for some reason. I feel like I just like don't have enough practice to know what makes a good portrait work,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And so like I'm just so used to like shooting the back of people like in public just because I feel like anonymity is king, you know, like preserve the persona. But
Interesting. No, I'm the opposite.
yeah,
I prefer taking pictures of people's faces, but I'm getting into the like mystery of like, ooh, who could that be? But I'm always like
yeah.
their face. But okay, oh, you're getting lots of questions now. Okay. So this one's from Gamby. It's how did you discover your own individual identity and voice as an artist?
Oh my God. You're coming in with the hard question. I don't even think I have that like hashed out yet. I think like because my work flits from being like almost superficial, like
Mm-hmm.
superficially pretty shit, to like super political things like my "Get Your Filthy Republican Claws" off my reproductive rights poster for Charlie's class.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, and I feel like working in multimedia work just even opens up that bridge of like what you're able to do even more, which
Mm-hmm.
makes it even harder to define.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure that I know what my personal aesthetic is, but
Yeah.
like going through my photos at least, like you can tell when it's something made by me, or even like my small scale sculpture work, like everything was super small, like
Mm-hmm.
sorry, like super small, you
Yeah.
know, and I just I find comfort in tedium if I've learned anything about my art process. I really like doing the same repetitive shit like over and over again.
No, that makes sense because like you said, like the threading, for example, and then when you take notes, you're very tedious about taking
Oh
notes.
my
Like
God, do you guys want to see my notes?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, show them your notes. It's so organized and so like highlighted, underlined. And I remember the first one of the first impressions I got off of you when we first met was like, she is so organized and she is so
Oh
like
God, no.
in the work. Yeah, I mean you still do. That was my impression was correct. Okay, so the next question is from my friend Anea. So she said, I'm not sure if you're open to this question, but thoughts on stolen artifacts, stolen personal items that is in the care of museums. Um,
Oh my God.
but wait, what is it? What that are discussed in the art handling? Oh yeah, oh sorry, was that discussed in the art handling class? I hope I
No, but that would be a killer class. Like if you merge the two together, because okay, personally, I find something super weird and just wrong about housing like even mummy artifacts
mm-hmm.
from like Egypt. I'm like that's some personal cultural like very sacred stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you're like just putting it on display like is just like it blows my mind. Like they have human like bodies and stuff that there's like museum collections own humans that have passed. And
Yeah.
that to me is like why aren't they brought back to like a place of resting or like why why are they allowed to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because like majority of the stolen artifacts come from like colonial based looting. So
Yeah.
it's like the fact that they went in was like, oh, this is some cool stuff that represents a culture that we're eventually gonna like try and decimate completely and erase. And I just, yeah, that would be amazing, but it was not covered. But luckily, the wide, vast world of YouTube and YouTube activism is alive and well, and I have done my fair share of like researching why there's such controversial like items in museums possessions that shouldn't be, because on one hand they're arguing the preservation of items,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand you're disrespecting like a whole lot of people by continuing to blatantly like display things that don't belong to your culture that you just took because you thought it was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like donations are one thing if it's like somebody giving you the rights to own this thing that they have treasured in hopes that you will preserve it, but it's another thing to steal it because you think you can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good
It is a really
question.
Thank you, Anaya. No, and I think I had an artist talk with her too, and I think we kind of touched upon it, either that or we've spoken on the phone about it. But it's really good. And then I was gonna say I'm waiting for more questions. But while we're on that topic of the whole mummy thing, I actually saw like a National Geographic thing about King Tut because I remember I was like, I love King Tut, but they actually talked about how they moved it to like the museum in Egypt where they found him. I hope I'm saying this correctly.
Yeah.
Because like the community there wanted his body
Hmm.
in the land where he was, buried. And
Yeah.
so I think that was really.
Yeah.
They were also saying that they created a museum in Egypt, and they have all the mummies, or his mummy, I guess, there. But I found it so weird because then they talked about how they found like unborn children and they just have them there like delicately, and like I was like, oh,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like it's fascinating, but at the same time I'm like it's kind of like you said, it kind of leaves you like with an unsettling feeling like why are you
It's
touching
like
them?
I don't feel like this should be viewed almost, like even though it can be viewed, should it?
Yeah, because at first I was like, oh wow, that's so cool, and then afterwards I was like, should I have looked at that? That didn't feel right, kind of thing.
Or like being an oblivious kid and then also growing up thinking that that is normal and that that should be the standard,
Hmm.
like that is crazy. And I'm
Yeah,
really glad that was brought up because,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Annette. We still have time for I think like two or three more questions. Um,
Thank you to everyone who is stuck with me this whole time. I'm so sorry if I ramble about dumb shit.
no, you've talked about really good stuff. I had another question. Totally lost it. Oh, when do you? Because it's going back to the photography question. So when
Mhm.
feel that you will, or I guess I can't say that. Well, like, do you feel like you know when you'll be ready to photograph like a person from the face? So that's one question. And then the other one is, do you like being photographed from your face?
Do I enjoy like people shooting me? Oh God, no. There's something like, and it's funny because if it's a photographer's job to do anything, it's to put the model at ease.
Mm-hmm.
And so like here I am being like, oh no, 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 relax, like you look fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't even do the same thing if I'm put in front of the camera. But I feel like I'm very fortunate to shoot with mostly my friends or like close acquaintances. Whereas like it just feels like we're hanging out and we're shooting the shit and it's like nothing serious. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like once there's like that pressure on me, like, oh, I'm sending you this thing so that you can take a photo in it and then send it to me. And then that like just puts this pressure of like, okay, well like what about my face though? Like what's
Yeah, yeah,
going on with this?
yeah.
Because I think that also like stems from like that good old artist insecurity, of like not really wanting to be like your character to be psychoanalyzed because
Mm-hmm.
that's like a whole nother monster from like having your work critiqued is
Yeah.
having yourself critiqued. But
Mm-hmm.
that's like a great like I feel like there shouldn't be that kind of stigma about like improvement conversations because they don't have to be a negative thing and it can feel like a negative thing when somebody's bringing it up to you but like inherently they just want to see you do better which like translates over into art so yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kat. That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
no.
can do it because it's my art, right?
So, yes, no, you're doing good. No one's asked any other questions unless I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, or haven't. I've just had it in that one. Oh my god. Oops, sorry. No, wait. Show us the back of your blue jacket you had on. Um,
Oh,
I didn't even see these comments. I'm sorry.
it says fucking unreal.
Oh yeah, that's right. You just made some shirts with that.
Yeah, with my limited supply of t-shirts that I have at home. But I'm printing interference colors, so they look like white straight on, but then in the light they sparkle in different colors. So that one's blue interference on blue. But I think you can see the blue a little bit better on this.
I love
Yeah,
it. It's like it's such a subtle blue, but it's so pretty.
but it's a sparkly blue, you know? I'm like, my best like Powerpuff Girl dream just came true.
I was at girls. I was like, Powerpuff Girls.
Hell yeah, dude. That was the show. Sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Yes. Ooh, questions yet, but I actually had another one for you. So, do you think you would make small little gems again?
You know, actually, I have it right next to me. I still have this many points of tourmaline.
Wow.
I have like a lot. So I guess it's one of those like artist hoarding things where you just constantly keep things for maybe future projects that you haven't thought about yet.
Yep. I love how
Yeah, it's like I literally have an ingot on my desk. Like a silver
yeah.
just chilling, just hanging out.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I would love to make more of them just because I had so much fun putting them on plants around the island.
Hmm.
Like, I just put them, like, whether they dropped off and fell down into the dirt of the earth, never to be seen again, or whether somebody took it off of the plant.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody looks close enough to see it, then they deserve to have it, is my reasoning. Yeah. I just think, like, stop and smell the flowers and look for jewels on the leaves, you know? That's the kind of vibe I'm going for if you can't tell from all of my like floral tattoos.
I love it. No, thank you, Kat. So, do you have anything else you want to say? We have a few minutes left. And if anybody else has any other questions for Kat, now's the time.
Destigmatize mental illness and destigmatize gender fluidity. that's that's my closing statement.
Good. No, that's a good closing statement. Okay, let's just see if anybody else has any other questions and then we'll end it there. Because you did so
Thank you again to everyone who stuck with me and to you, Brenda, for reaching out to me, even though I'm still like a student. I
no,
am not a full-fledged adult yet.
stop. No, I was gonna tell you there. That's one thing I was gonna say. If anybody doesn't have a question, I think because you're a student, you have just as much right to be in this artist talk because you have so much to say and there's so much like exploring left to do. Like any artist has a
Thank
right to
you.
be in the artist talk. Oh, somebody has a question. What's next for you with your work?
Oh, so I'm planning on going to Goodwill one of these days and getting a whole bunch of like I'm just gonna scour the shop for more like HPD and or Trump shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was either gonna go between screen printing them. Eric gave me the idea to screen print it instead, or Annabelle, just because it would go quicker and I could get more of them out, and then redonate them back to the Goodwill with like my propaganda on it.
A good idea.
Yeah, I just don't think I would donate a stitched one because that takes me way too long. But if it
Yeah.
was a screen printed one, like if I got like a whole bunch of donated Trump shirts and then like just did something stupid to him, you know, like printed his stupid propaganda tweets or racist tweets on
Yeah.
him, it would be cool to redonate them back. But yeah, Eric gave me that insane idea. So I think that sounds cool, especially since it's using like reused materials because it's like donated stuff.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm gonna just say one thing about that. You remember Maria, right? Of course.
Yes.
Um, did you ever see this art piece that she did and it was of Trump and she did like a boto?
Yeah.
I really wish she made more shirts of that because I would totally own one of those shirts.
You're like, that needs to be in my t-shirt collection.
It does. It really does. So we'll
Oh,
because I'm sorry, I just saw the time. I was like, crap. Okay, Instagram's gonna cut me off. But yeah, so thank you so much for everyone who joined. Oh wait, someone said, oh Gosha, you should auction them off and raise money. Not a bad idea.
yeah, also an idea, but I think if I auction, it would have to be stitched so that people know that time and effort went into it,
Yeah.
you know? And plus longevity of wear, I just feel like stitching stays more than graphics.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Gosha said Goodwill might just throw it out. Oh, I hope not.
I'm like hoping that it's not too spicy that they'll be like, nah, this can't go back in the cycle.
Sorry.
I
Um,
know.
Yeah, no, but thank you so much. And thank you for everybody who watched. I want to make sure Instagram doesn't cut us off. But you were amazing, Kat. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you. And then if anybody missed it, we'll put it up. And I'll also put Kat's website and her Instagram in case you want to look at her work more or ask her questions. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. I
Bye.
love you.
I love you too. Bye.